Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session on learn how to chat with your data like ChatGPT, where we will discuss about how you can, build your own chat with your own data. So we have our speaker, Arindam Sarkar, who is a senior machine learning engineer, who is going to help us understand the topic and how we can do it. Before we get into the session, I would like to say that the session is going to be recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. And secondly, there is a certificate of participation which you can claim at the end of the session. That's all from my side, and the stage is all to Arindam. Over to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Suresh. So hi everyone. I think few of you might have joined the call from yesterday, right? So we'll continue from there only, but I'll give you a little bit more context or maybe a recap from what we have done yesterday and how we can enhance that, right? So let me, just shut down my camera. Yeah, let me share my screen. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Uh, Oh, I think I have shared the wrong one, not this one. One second. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so I think hope it is visible to everyone. If you remember, guys, so yesterday we are talking about, right, so how we can do, chat with our own data. Where we talked about couple of concepts, right? First of all, I talked about what is a word embeddings, right? But I think yesterday I made one mistake. So there is a difference between tokenization and embedding creation. Okay. So this is not basically vector representation. This is a representation of tokens. Just to make sure whoever attended yesterday, just a small note, they can make sure that it's a representation of tokens, and every token is basically represented as a vector. End of the, when you want to represent a word as a word embedding. Anyways, but the main concept which I tried to convey yesterday is that basically these embeddings are something which is helping us to, you know, get a score if two sentences are similar or not, right? Let's say if I was showing you one example yesterday that this is one sentence like NLP is awesome and I am watching a movie. If you think about a normal human perspective, there is no connection between these two sentences, right? So they are kind of very independent events. That's why if you see, and as I told yesterday as well, this cosine similarity is a score which is basically lies between 0 to 1. The minimum can be 0 and maximum can be 1, right? Or you can think this is of a 0 to 100 percentage, something like that. So if you see, it is just 10 percentage or just 0.1 right fraction. So that means there is the similarity is very low. But if I type something like NLP is very interesting or something like that, where you see the score goes up, right? Because these two sentences are kind of very similar, right? So that is how basically this embedding help us to, extract out the information from vector DB. Uh, Now what we have done, we have seen the OpenAI SDK, right? How we can use the OpenAI SDK to get some of the information, or let's say the example that I was giving yesterday, right? That this Google Gemini paper, uh, that if you ask OpenAI the raw version of ChatGPT or OpenAI SDK, it is not able to answer it because it is having some knowledge cut off, right? So it is not able to answer something after January 2022. But you might have data which is, gone past to 2022, let's say, which is coming from 2023, right? Some research paper which is coming on 2023, which is exactly the case, right? This Google Gemini paper, which is came on last month, like maybe end of 2023. So that is one example where I tried to show you that ChatGPT is not able to answer, but how can you make it answer on your let's say the research paper that you are reading right now, right? It will be a lot of help, it will be helpful for you. Let's say you are doing some research, or let's say you are writing some paper, or maybe not research paper, anything, maybe let's say any rater, or maybe you are reviewing something. uh, for human it is very easy to get you always have queries in your mind. If you can get the answers, maybe those doubts get resolved, right? So in that scenario, asking your data, or let's say your own docs the questions, is a very helpful technique, to assess that how good maybe the document is, or how well the answer is in the document, right? um that way, what I have done, I have shown you that then we can create vector db using that particular pdf file, then we can chunk it, then we can ask a query about that, right? And once we ask a query about that, then it will extract out few portion from the whole pdf file which is relevant, not everything, right? Because that is the game of word embedding, right? What I have just trying to show you, right? Whatever is more informative, it will try to extract it out wherever the score is high. uh, then what we will do, then we will pass this information to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will be able to answer it, right? Which I was showing till I think yesterday. So these are the things which is helpful if you want to at least get a hands-on. But the way people develop this LLM application is not generally directly using OpenAI SDK. They use OpenAI SDK, but it's kind of there is a wrapper around this OpenAI SDK. It's called Langchain, and which is, if you see, every day there is an article on Medium, or let's say some other social network social network platform, where you will see that every someone is posting something regarding to Langchain, that how you can build your own chat GPT with Langchain and OpenAI, and all those stuffs, right? So I'll just walk you through to that step as well. And but if you understood this portion of what I have just tried to present, I think you will be able to get all the other things, because this is the heart of the concept. If you have get this thing, then I think other thing will be very very simple. Other things will be very very simple, because those are actually wrapper. Now, just to give you a more idea, right, what is happening here. So you remember, right, what I said yesterday? So you have your own query. Let's say here our query was, what was our query? The query was, what is Google Gemini model, right? That is what we asked to tell me about the Google Gemini model, right? So then what we have done, we have used the embedding model to go to the vector DB, right? So first we have a query. That query got its word embeddings, or let's say the embeddings from it. Then that embedding is going to vector DB to retrieve the context, right? Which I was just showing right now. Then that retrieved context is getting fed to LLM, and the query is also going to fed to LLM, right? You just see this, right? Here we are fetching the answer and the query, right? And then we are getting the final response from OpenAI. So if you see, right, that we have actually followed exactly these steps while doing this. But I haven't tried to display this picture yesterday, because I thought it will be better first if we get a hands-on, then we see all this presentation, because this presentation will really make sense when we know that what is going on, or we get a hang of it, right? So everything in this diagram is basically represented in such a way, the way we have tried to done everything here. And this will be the general setup, right? You will have a query, you will have your vector db where you have stored your own data, right? And then you will have your embedding model which will help you to navigate that space and give you the retrieve context data. So embedding model you can think of as a friend, right? So it will be like, let's say you have some question, it will, it is like, it will convert it to some vector, it will convert it to some vector representation, or let's say it will do some encryption, right? And then it will pass it to the vector db, then vector db will, for that particular question, whatever the answer is present in that db, it will try to retrieve that. And then once you have that answers, then llm will get that and llm will try to answer the final portion of the question, right? This is a very, very generic setup. And uh, I think everybody is clear on it, right? Or do you have any, if anyone has any question, right, regarding this, or if someone has not attended yesterday's call, I will suggest them to, I'll share this notebook again today. I will just, request you guys to, at least, run it, or maybe check the code, or maybe see, right, how it is in the, what is the flow. This flow, if you are able to get this flow, then other things are very, it's very mechanical, or I'll say that it's about few amount of coding. That's it. But this is the basic concept of, the chatbot using, or maybe let's say chat with your own data with OpenAI. Now, I think the next portion of our talk will be mostly on how we can Langchain in this scenario, right? Um, and Basically, what is Langchain? Langchain is a wrapper around OpenAI SDK, right? It's nothing but just a wrapper around OpenAI SDK. Very easy to use. Like if you see right here, we have to do a lot of things. We are passing a lot of things. But in Langchain, if you will be able to see that it's very, very easy, to be very honest. Okay. It's not that you anything you need to do, anything is fancy there. It's much more easier to develop a, application, or let's say you want to build one API, which we want to pass it to the front end. That is very much easier. So without any further talk, let just do this thing. Uh, let's start coding, right? So I'll explain you whatever I am importing here. Okay. So the fast one, right? I just try to explain these things because this will be, very much helpful if someone is planning to build anything around OpenAI. So here basically I am using Azure OpenAI. It's a version of OpenAI, but which is, kind of hosted by Azure. Uh, you also have, someone can also directly try the OpenAI APIs, right? They already give some API key, and other enterprise version as well. But I am using Azure Chat OpenAI. That's why I am saying that Azure Chat OpenAI. If you are just using OpenAI, then it should be just OpenAI. And this retrieval QA is basically all the process that we have done with hand, right? Where it's You can think of what I have done yesterday was a very, very raw version, or maybe a very low level of what is happening in the retrieval QA, right? Retrieval QA is basically all that. If you see this diagram, right, whatever is happening here, retrieval QA is kind of a wrapper of all of this concept in one single API, or maybe let's say one single class. Now let's define the Azure chat OpenAI, right? So for this one, we have to pass certain of, certain amount of information here. Number one is that what is the base that you are using. So if someone is using OpenAI, he have to mention all of these things, like Azure OpenAI. It will be, let me just hard code this. It will be 2023 15. And also, as I think explained yesterday, we need to create one environment variable, right? Where we will store all these, credentials. Uh, so that is also one aspect of it. Just remember that. So what we are doing here, right? So you see, right, this is a vector tree, and we are, getting an object out from the vector DB where we can directly ask question, right? Vector DB as retriever, and then we are initiating the LLM, the Azure Chat OpenAI with all the credentials that we need, right? The OpenAI API key, the OpenAI base, what is the OpenAI API type, all of those things. Now, what we'll do, we'll import Langchain, and one interesting thing I'm going to do here, just to show you how LLM performs, I'll turn on the debug mode. Now, let's just create one chat interface, right? one thing I forgot to, initiate. That is, you remember, right? We uh, imported this retrieval QA, so we need to initiate task and this one as well. Retrieval QA from chain type. First, here we need to pass what are the arguments, right? So I'll just explain you. So in this diagram, if you see, right, what are the inputs to LLM, right? One is query, one is a retrieve context, then LLM is able to answer. So as I was saying, right, it's a wraparound kind of the picture that we have seen, right? So if you see, right, this is what the total flow is. So you can think this is as a flow, where we are having a LLM, where we have a vector DB retriever, and this chain type is basically, I'll explain it later. So you can change this chain type. The chain type is kind of a thing where LLM is getting connected to the prompt in some way. Now, that's a different story. I think even if you don't know that, that's not going to, harm, I think, because, yeah. um, So, just, try to see, right, how it is going to OpenAI calls. So what we are doing here, as I have turned on the debug mode. So if you see, right, I asked this question, right, what is Google Gemini model? And as you guys know, right, it is something which is ChatGPT will not be able to answer because it is something the knowledge is coming from past 2022, or let's say, sorry, future 2022. Then the query got passed to OpenAI, right? Then what it did, then it goes to OpenAI and it used this context, right? The context which is coming from the vector DB. Then it framed this final answer, and this is the final answer it gave me, right? Google Gemini model is highly capable multi-model model. It represent a cross Google effort, something like that, blah blah. It doesn't matter to us now. But if I just turn off this debug mode, then all those information will not be there, and maybe. So if you see, right, so it is, you know in the background, when I turned on the debug mode, it showed you, right, what are the steps it is doing. But here, if you see, the final answer is a model family of highly capable multi-models. Then something like all the other stuff is also there. So you see, right, how easy it is to just to build one LLM application using your own chatbot using Langchain. It's very If you see, right, it's just couple of lines of code, maybe this 28, 29, 33, 34, and 35. Also, this vector DB creation, which I done before. If you think this is another maybe couple of lines, right? So if you see, it's very easy. Like maybe in just couple of maybe uh, 10 to 15 lines, you will be able to build something using OpenAI and Langchain, which is very cool, right? Given that we are, able to handle some amount of complexity on our own data. But also, we can refine this version as well, right? This is something where we are just doing the raw question answering using the Langchain, retrieval QA, uh, um, retrieval QA of class. Let me just stop this one. So we'll take it one way further and see like how we can, even uh, get something like chat gpt, not only asking question but also doing some logical reasoning, right? By logical reasoning I mean, let's say, to manipulate the data. Let's say here it return me some information, that's cool, but I also, let's say, as a human, whenever, let's say, chat gpt give me some input, what we do generally, we want to ask more questions, that how it is able to extract those, right? Why it thought that it is important, what are the main features that is inherent there. So all those information we generally ask to chat gpt, and chat gpt, if you see, if it is able to give you the answer, then it will be seamlessly able to give you the result. But sometimes it might be the case that it is giving you wrong reason. That is something we call as hallucinations, right? Or sometimes it might give you some wrong result as well. Uh, that is also hallucinations. But if we just, if you don't think about those things, if you think that you got a right answer, then ChatGPT is giving you the reason why it thought that it is important to describe it in certain way. Then it will give you the answer, right? Which we called as logical reasoning, or maybe in terms of NLP we called it, on LLM we call it chain of thoughts, right? Why it thought that it is important. When I turned on the turned on the debug mode, right? At that point, uh, you guys are able to see, right, how it thought, okay, this information is important, so let me just pick this information and give the final answer. That is, picking answer from some other place, right? So it's like, let's say, someone who don't have any intelligence, but let's say he goes to internet and find one information. But when you have that information, you want to do certain things, right? Let's say I want to solve a mathematical problem, I got a formula from, to solve that problem I got certain formula from internet, and I'm trying to then, what I need to do, I need to at least write a program, or let's say in my head I need to do certain calculation in order to get the final result. So if you, if I show you here, let's say I was just asking what is Google Gemini model, but let's say I ask a question which is related to NLP, right? uh, Give me the overall sentiment score for this Google Gemini technical paper. You can ask, right? This is a very specific, question, that hey, I have given you the information. If you guys are aware of, like, in NLP, sentiment analysis is kind of, people take it as a very serious problem, right? Because let's say you watched a movie and you are able to express the, if you are able to extract out the sentiment using some model, AI model, then that will have, lot of values, right? Whether some person has expressed, let's say, sadness, joy, or let's say whether he is happy or not happy, whether the sentiment is positive or negative, right? But it's a very, what I'll say, if you as a human, if you see some text, you'll be able to identify, right? But if you see, right, it was able to give me the answer, but when I asked it for the sentiment score, it is not able to give me. The reason is there that, LLM is, right now the LLMs are not that much capable of, doing logical reasoning, but it is able to, go to correct, information. It is very good to go to correct information, and then somehow it is good to, ensemble those information and present it you in the final way. So people has taken this approach to a further extent, and they have created something called as, agent and tool framework, right? What is agent and tool framework? So basically you can think this LLM as a agent, right? uh, Let me give you some context. Very roughly saying, this, you can think this LLM as an agent which has some power that it can go to somewhere and collect information. If you think in that kind of framework, these LLMs, then it will become very intuitive to you, like why ChatGPT sometimes give you very, very, good answer with mathematical reasoning. So ChatGPT, as if you only think about ChatGPT, as I was saying yesterday, that ChatGPT is having two components, right? If you remember, I was discussing yesterday that it is having two components. One is pre-training, another one is fine-tuning. So the LLMs are basically a byproduct which is coming, or the direct product which is coming from the pre-training step. And that pre-training step is basically the uh, creating this GPT-4, GPT 3.5 models. These models are very raw and they have a lot of information, but it is like, let's say, someone having very natural superpower, but he is not aware of that, right? So LLM is, you can think of LLMs are like that. They are having very supernatural powers, but they are not self-aware. But when you expose them to some kind of, information, or if you expose them some external tools, they are, then suddenly they got the trigger and they know they what need to be done, right? uh, so let me, if you guys know the Bing chat, right? What is a Bing chat? Let me show you something on Bing. One second. Here in the Bing, I just wanted to show you guys like how Bing works. Let's say in the Bing, if I ask, what it will do first. So it, you, if you see, right, it is searching in the way for the Google Gemini model, right? Then it is giving you the answer. So what it is doing as a tool, it is using the internet to answer it, right? uh, so you can think, so the agent is still the LLM, but the LLM goes to internet. Let's say instead of me trying typing here what is Google Gemini model, let's say a LLM is typing here what is Gemini model from Google. Let's say the LLM types it, then gets the answer the way you have seen it for the vector DB, right? In the, from vector DB, you are retrieving the information. So in that tool, if you think that the information is there, because internet is having lot of information, right? So if you can go to internet and ask this question, then internet will give you some amount of answer, right? What is Google Gemini model? So you see, right? If you see, right, the answer is kind of a very much copy from here, right? You see, it is coming in the, uh, I think in a search, right? Gemini is a family of multimodal knowledge, and it kind of is very much similar, what I'll say. Now, but when we asked it to, let's say, Chat GPT, why Chat GPT was not able to answer it? Because Chat Chat GPT, if you ask the raw version of Chat GPT, not the version where we have See, right, ChatGPT is not able to answer it, the raw ChatGPT version. But if someone is having the GPT-4 subscription, right, then what they can do, they can, here you will be able to see that you can use some extensions, right, or plugins. You can just enable the web search plugin, and then you will be able to see that it is able to answer it. So what I am trying to convey you guys here is that LLM is not the end of the game. So you can use this LLM to use certain tools, and this LLM become extremely powerful. Where let's say it is not having any reasoning, where it is not able to reason, where it is not able to give you the answer. But if you can expose it to some external tools, then it becomes like magic, right? Certainly it will be able to answer you certain things. The way if you see the uh, Bing chat was able to answer, right? Bing just what Bing did, it just go search for. If you see, there are two steps, right? It search for the Google Gemini model. Where it is searching on internet. Let's say on the Bing, or let's say on the Edge itself, it is searching browser Edge. Then when it got the answer, then it is using the LLM. It's the same framework what we have learned here. uh, if you get the hang out of it, I think you will be able to understand everything. So instead of, if you just remove this vector db, and you can replace, if you can replace it with a internet or internet of information, that's it. I think that's it, that's the tool, even for all the other things as well. So it's a very interesting fact, and if you explore this kind of topics, you will get even you will, I think you will get a good amount of interest if you are exploring these things. So let's say, without saying further things, let's just go to how we can make it even work better with the framework I just told you, right? The agent and tool. um so for this, we also need to do, for this, Langchain is also, Langchain has a lot of good support for this agent and tool support, agent and tool framework. uh, I let me copy paste few of the things in the chat as well, so that everybody can. These are few documents I want you guys to walk through. As a whole, I'll recommend to walk through uh, all the things that is there in the lang chain, but it's actually, it become very very huge right now, because when it got started, it was very minimal project. Now people got involved, and it is right now, it's kind of de facto for building LLM application. uh, because no one really don't want to directly use OpenAI SDK. They want to use it, but they want to use it via LangChain. That being said, let's go to this our next topic, and let's build there. So LangChain has this agent framework. Also, one more thing I want to mention here is that So whenever we are chatting with ChatGPT, right, it is able to generally get it is able to remember whatever question that you have asked previously, right? It's not that you are just asking one question at a time and it don't know about the previous question. So you can ask something like, hey, this is my question, how this is what I want to know. Then again you ask something related to that question or some that concept or that product, it will be able to answer you that, right? Because uh, somewhere it is storing that information whatever you have asked it previously. So also Langchain has that support as well. It it generally stores all your information using something called as memory, and I'll also try to show that as well. Session memory buffer. Experimental dot tools Python. Uh, this one. It defines a tool, whatever tool we want to use, right? So number one will be. So this is how basically we create the wrapper around a tool or a API. So you can use Google search, everything. Google search is, I think, it is available on under some another API. You can use my Edge, all the other APIs, but you have to pay for that. As I will show you the thing that we were interested first, right? So when you are defining this tool, there will be two criteria. First, you need to name that tool, right? And second one is that in order to help your agent, which is the LLM, that when it is useful to use it, right? Every time, let's say if you ask something, a random question, what is one plus one? It is not useful to look at your document, right? It can answer it. But let's say when you are asking something related to your own document, then that is the only time when your LLM needs to go to the tool and see the tool and then retrieve the answer, right? So you need to describe it that when you need to answer for Gemini model and its technical details. And as a start, I'll show you a very interesting thing. You will able to see that how LLM is performing. So this K is basically how many last conversation you want to remember, right? K equal to 5 minutes, that you want to remember the last five conversation, whatever you have chatted with this your chatbot. Uh, so you will see that after, even for OpenAI or ChatGPT as well, after certain time you'll lose the context. Lose context means that whatever you have described, let's say at fast question and you are asking 100th question, right? or let's say 110 question, you will not be able to get the context of what you have asked in the first question, because it has certain number of memory buffer, as people say it, right? uh, Now once we do it, then it's time to call the agent, right? I shared the document, right, of Langchain, so you can go through that. You will get some amount of idea what are different types of agent that is available, and it is very interesting, to be very honest. You will feel that there is some AI agent is doing something. It is actually um, described in that way. Hardly stopping. Generate memory, conversation memory. So our agent is created. Now let's do something different for exercise. So as a start, let's start with a very simple example, right? Let's give it a very good programming exercise. So here, let me just explain you one couple of things. One is that fast tool, it is very, if you guys if you guys are able to understand what we are using as a tool, is that what we have just created as a vector DB. So as I was saying you, right, that we just need to, you can think of that vector DB also as a tool, right, which the agent is getting exposed to. Then this Python wrapper tool. What is this tool basically? This tool is developed by Langchain framework only. But if you think that, let's say, do you think that a LLM has the capability to LLM has a capability to execute any code? No, it don't have, right? Let's say if I ask it that, hey, what is the fifth Fibonacci number or something? If you go to ChatGPT, it will answer you in certain way. But if you want to see that how the code is also how it is executing the code as well, then we need to first create the program, then write that program, and then execute it, right? LLM is not able to do that. LLM is not made made for that. But if you expose the LLM to this Python wrapper tool, then you will be able to see that it is able to do it, right? See what is the fib. Oh, sorry. I think I've done some mistake here. See how it is, just observe how it is working, right? Um, you see, right, how what it did. First, as a thought, it thought that what action it wanted to take. So the agent and tool framework works in couple of steps. First, the LLM thought LLM has some thoughts, right? That hey, what in order to do this task, what I need to first, what action do I need to take? Then it gives a thought, then it take picks one tool, right? Here if you see, it is picking that Python wrapper tool, and after picking that Python wrapper tool, it is executing the code and giving me what is the fifth Fibonacci number, right? I'm not sure whether it is right or wrong. I don't think it is right, to be very honest, because five is not what it is. What I think, it might be wrong or it might be right, but I'm saying that you can see in your eyes that how it is using that particular tool. Maybe if you can fine tune it in some more better way, it will be able to give you more better answer, right? Now, let me ask the same question. What is Google Gemini model, and extract the top keywords from the Gemini model paper using NLP techniques from Python tool, right? Let's see how it comes. So you see, right, what it has done. First it is going to this particular tool. Uh, then it is observing what is the answer. Then you see, right, the observation is it says that the answer is Google Gemini is a final family of highly capable models, right? Um, since I don't have the text for Gemini paper, I can extract the top keywords. Okay. Maybe I need to change that answer, change the question a little bit. Rather than typing paper, let me just say whatever text it has extracted, just we want to extract the keyword from it using our NLP technique. I think we have three or couple of more minutes. This is the last. Given I model, extract the top keywords from the last answer. So if you see, right, first what it did, it goes to the agent executor chain, then it is having the thought which tool I want, why I need to use, then it is using that particular vector DB. Once you see, right, then it is saying that Gemini is a family of highly capable model and all, right? Then what it is doing, that it is then using this Python framework and using this NLTK. If some of you are familiar with um, uh, NLP processing, right, you see, right, how it is doing it, and it's kind of will blow your mind that how it is coming. What we do by hand, it is doing it and executing it, right? So that's pretty interesting, to be very honest. That It basically see that what is the word count and everything. It is calculating using the Python framework. And first it is writing the code, then executing the code, right? If you see here, from import, collections, and do all the other stuffs. So this way, if you see, um, we can combine multiple tools to give a give answer to a very fairly complicated task. The way Bing works, the way ChatGPT works with uh, plugins. I think that's it. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask in the chat. I think we are almost done, to be very honest. I think it's around it's 10 already. So if you guys have any question, feel free to ask. I am also sharing this notebook to the group so that you guys can access it. But for you need to upload your own environment variable, and that paper I have already shared. I'll also share the paper as well today. Uh, yes, yes, you can create. Akshat, so it's possible to create your own data analysis tool, the way I have shown, right? But you need to say that, hey, these are the things I need to do using this particular tool. Maybe you want to use Matplotlib, maybe you want to use NumPy, right? So you can just give it a CSV file and give it a try. I haven't tried it, but it's possible. People actually is trying it. Any other question? Oh,
Okay, think there is no more question that is popping up. I think that's a question for me. Yeah, I will explain about certificate in a bit. And thank you everyone for joining session, and thanks for adding them to sharing all the knowledge. I hope you guys will make sure you use it on your own and try it out, and be sure to update if there is any issue that comes up in when you're doing. Also, you can always join the community and ask questions over there. And yeah, I will share the form to fill out for your certificate of participation, where you will get the uh, participation certificate, but there will be a delay, but we'll make sure that everybody receives it. So that's it for the day, and thank you again for adding them, and thank you again everybody who joined us, and have a great day.
yeah. Thank you so much, Suraj. Thank you, everyone. I hope you guys are able to, maybe get something out of this session. And I'll, encourage everyone to try it out. I have shared the link. Uh, I have shared the Google Colab link, which I was using during the session. And just get your own credential from OpenAI and try it out. I think you will have a lot of fun using it. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.